The follow. Oh. I knew we'd hit the right button sooner or later. This is Jim Posel. With Safety Wars for Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. We're reporting here still from OSHA Region 3. How's everybody doing? A lot happening in the news. A lot going on. I'm gonna remind everybody, I got a copy of it today. We're almost through. From Jay Allen, the Signal Transmission Trilogy. What's the book about? This? I'm gonna make a prediction here. I'm gonna predict this is gonna be one of the. This is gonna be classic, soon to be classic. One hell of a book. Making connections. All right, so one of the taglines that Jay uses on his shows, especially the Rated R safety show, is the corporate calling out the corporate BS. Right? Calling it out. Right? You can't find the corporate BS and everything along those lines. That's a book that calls it out. Basically, as safety professionals, we're often told that we're the problem. We're not the problem. So last week we talked about Juneteenth. Let's not make it let's not make it any. I don't think I could have been more clear. Clear as mud, as they say. Safety is a civil right. Communities that historically have their civil rights violated, including African Americans, nobody could argue that. There are extremely high rates for accidents for a whole host of reasons. So context. What contexts are they dealing with? Human and organizational performance. Context drives behavior. Consider that. Don't be so harsh on people. And by the way, let's not point out that they're not the only group. There are groups out there all over the place. Part of the reasons why we have OSHA outreach training is to teach people about their rights and how to maybe assert their rights, what those rights are. It's a safe and healthful workplace free of recognized hazards. Real simple. And all OSHA regulation is built around that. I believe it was Doug Parker, the former OSHA administrator there, that said, all OSHA regulations are from the General Duty Clause. And there are a lot of people out there who do not believe in it. Our show points out this stuff. Let me point this out also. Chances are that if your employer is out there not breaking OSHA regulations, chances are they're screwing you over a million ways to Sunday. That's my experience with that on every front. Are they paying you the right benefits? Are they paying you the right withholding taxes? Are they withholding the right taxes? Are they giving you the resources to do your job, the authority to do your job, the support you to do your job? And then end up disciplining you and putting you on a performance review plan, putting you on a performance review plan after they're the ones who sabotage you. Yeah, it's happened to me before. One of my first employers, early 90s, did this. We're going to put you on a performance review plan, and this is what you're thinking. Know what a performance review plan is? They're building a case and a decision that has been made to get rid of you. Chances are The 9 times out of 10 from the attorneys I've spoken to, that decision's already been made. They're just trying to build a case file. With what I know today, I'd be hard-pressed to even sign one of those without conditions. Like, you're going to give me the resources, the authority, and the support to do my job in the safety industry. Are you getting overruled? Hey, guys, you got to put on the hard hats. Health and safety plan. States, got to wear hard hats, safety glasses, steel-toe boots, or no, safety-toe shoes, reflective vest. Well, fuck you, we're not doing it. And then the site manager goes up. You report, I said, look, none of these guys went over there. Well, that's your problem, not mine. Well, guess what? They're not doing. Well, that's your fault. Really? Is that supporting your safety industry? If you have a boss doing that, it's your boss that's the issue, not you. It's the organization that's the issue, not you. It's the way it is. Well, Jim, it gets more complicated. We're worried we have a business model here. Well, we got to run a bit. Okay, so you're going to make money, and you're going to do all this stuff, and you're still okay with it, killing people or hurting people. You're okay with that. And the answer, more times than not, is, we're okay if we get one of our workers gets hurt. We're okay because, you know what? I'm not the owner of the company. It doesn't impact me. States like New York have seen this, and now you're at risk in New York State. If you're an employer, you're a supervisor, you're a competent person, there's an unsafe condition that you know about, like usually with falls. Not enforcing fall protection rules, not supplying fall protection equipment, not supplying training or anything like that. Guess what? Someone gets hurt or killed, causes a catastrophic situation, you're on there. You think that this is what people, this is the calculus that people go through. Part of what this book says, right? Why people don't speak up. Because all of a sudden, you say, quote unquote, the wrong thing. Say the wrong thing. Well, now you're alienated. Now you're the problem, you're the issue, blah, 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 blah. Goes on and on and on and on. So what happens? Context drives behavior. If you're not going to be listened to, you're not going to be taken serious, you're going to be alienated, they don't let you sit at the big people's table anymore. Guess what? That's an incentive for you not to do your job. What frustrates me is this. I'm not going to mention the name of the book, but there's a famous book on root cause analysis. They talk about a guy at an oil facility. And I don't know if it's by coincidence or if it's by, just deliberate. The name that they use is someone that I know who used to work in the oil industry. He's retired now. And I believe it's that guy because that was the kind of stuff that the guy used to pull. That was outlined in that book. What was that? I know for a fact that they learned about human organizational performance. I know that for a fact. 100%. They realized that their company, the way the culture was, the way that they ran safety, that I just got a message coming across. A good friend of mine just passed away. Man, talk about throwing you off here. Right, you learn that they know about human organizational performance. I got thrown off here. They know that what they're doing is wrong, their culture is wrong, they still do it. Why? Because their incentive is based on money, and the whole company was set up, the corporate headquarters, to cover up safety issues and not to admit them, whatever they were. Cover them up. So for years, this guy was whipping us into shape, ding, 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 ding. All different kinds of safety and safety issues, antagonism. You name it, the guy would do it. Guy retires. His replacement comes in. Good guy. Same, not as bad as the first guy. However, whenever he left the room, the system that the previous guy set up was in there, which was safety is not important. We got to get the job done. And we're going to have it called a quote-unquote hot job. Did the safety people know about this? No, because the safety people weren't allowed in those meetings. So then what happens? There's quote-unquote this hot job. We're safety people. We go around trying to manage safety on all levels. They're like, you really think that they care about safety? We don't care about. The message from management is don't worry about safety. And what was a shock was when a new plant manager came in, he went into a meeting and he heard about this. Well, that's a hot job. How come a permit wasn't issued? How come that was a hot job? Well, what's a hot job? A hot job means that, we got to get her done. Got to get the job done. Well, what does that mean? And they went through, got to get the job done. We're not worried. Oh, the freaking piece of paper we're going to worry about? We're going to have to take the whole system offline. Waiting for all the, what about, and he's like, is that why on that job nobody was wearing safety glasses? Yeah, because they fog up and it's a hot job. Hot temperature-wise, and hot meaning it's got to get done. So to that plant manager's credit, he said, pulled everybody together, 300-person meeting. If I ever hear the next person that says hot job is fired. There are no hot jobs. So he had, right, and to his credit, things got a lot safer, a lot better, and everything else. I don't really know what to say here with this. But all of these memories come back because of the signal transmission trilogy here. We'll have Jay Allen here in the very near future after I finish reading the book, because I tell you what, such a huge thing. We're going to go to commercial break here, and we'll come back to you in a moment. And we'll probably get some AI music thrown in there.
Safety Wars is streaming now.
SafetyFM.com. In the professional safety community, communication and planning are just a few keys to your program's success. The question many practitioners have is, where do I start? Dr. Jay Allen, the creator of the Safety FM platform and host of the Rated R Safety Show, has built a global foundation to help you along the way. Go to safetyfm.com and listen to some of the industry's best and most involved professionals, including Blaine Hoffman with the Safety Pro, Sam Goodman with the Hop Nerd, Sheldon Primus with the Safety Consultant, Jim Pozell with Safety Wars, Emily Elrod with Unapologetically Bold, and many others. As individuals, we can do great things, but as a team, we become amazing. Dial into safetyfm.com today and surround yourself with a powerful force of knowledge and support.
OSHA recordables, catastrophic losses, environmental disasters. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Posel with Safety Wars.
That's my daddy.
Okay, we're coming back here. Now, the fortunate or unfortunate thing with podcasting is that these episodes, right, keep on getting exposure. So I received some comments yesterday on a podcast on Worker Memorial Day, and let's talk about it here. You said, well, Jim, that's April 28th. So this was from a veteran who was very upset with Worker Memorial Day because he feels that it gets confusing with that. And maybe we need to consider renaming that. So Worker Memorial Day, it is called something else. Worker Commemoration Day might be a better word. So veteran, so let's see what we have here. I wrote a little something here, right? A veteran might be upset with Workers' Memorial Day being called that for a few reasons, mostly due to a perceived conflict with or dilution of the meaning of Memorial Day, which honors military personnel who died in service to the United States. Here are the main reasons why. 1, confusion with Memorial Day, the last Monday of May. What? A couple weeks back here. Workers' Memorial Day is observed on April 20th. Some people unfamiliar with it might confuse it with Memorial Day, which is a sacred U.S. holiday for honoring fallen military service members. Now, here you go. I mean, what's our greatest threat in this country? I've said it again and again and again, as Jimmy sees it. The resurgence of worldwide communism. Biggest threat that we have. That's my personal belief. What did the communists do when they took over countries like Russia, made it into the Soviet Union? They changed the names of holidays to make it, to eliminate history. So didn't celebrate Christmas. They had something else. Going back before that, you had the Puritans in this country who were originally a communist-like group, a proto-communist group, been called by many, right? And what did they do? They took away a lot of holidays. A lot of other denominations did that too, Christmas being one of them. And they replaced them with other holidays with that. And this is often what, when one country is, when one people take over another people in war or what have you, that's what they do. They get rid of holidays. So I can get that. I get that. Number 2, cultural or emotional attachment to the word memorial. For many veterans, the term memorial is deeply tied to personal loss, friends or comrades who died in combat. To hear the word in another context, even if it's valid, like workplace fatalities, can feel emotionally jarring or even disrespectfully. They think it equates workplace deaths with combat death often. They feel the term has been co-opted for political or activist purposes. Yes, I can't, we have, so the AFL-CIO, right? I believe that was it. It might have been UAW. They point out that you have 50,000 people a year killed as a result of occupational exposures, like other than the 5,000 that we report based on the OSHA 300 log. Right? So a lot of groups sort of like do equate this, right? Because 55,000 deaths a year for Vietnam had, I believe, 58,000 thereabouts. So yeah, that is a valid thing where workplace death versus combat death. Two different things. Some people might equate them, some might not, but it's a little bit of a controversial thing. But why do we need controversy? Just rename it. Rename work. I mean, how many people actually celebrate Worker Memorial Day outside of construction or outside of the OSHA world? Not many. Maybe change the name, come up with a better name, and maybe you'll get better response and more awareness. The way it is. I mean, I've heard that with Safety Wars. Well, Jim, wars, safety, a war. Okay, this wars and well, no, there's a battle every day for your safety. That is what you're fighting. You have other wars out there that you can go out there, and there's a whole bunch of other trademarks, different words out there. Info wars being one, storage wars, climate wars, I think is another one, safety war. Well, guess what? There is a battle going there with that, and there is a war on your safety every freaking day. Believe me, on that. With that, 55,000 people that they know of, right? Killed a year. Hey. Lack of awareness or understanding. Many people, including veterans, may not know what Workers' Memorial Day is. It's an international day of remembrance focusing on workers who died on the job or from work-related illnesses, intended to advocate for safer workplaces. Once educated on this, many are supportive of it, but as we know from last Thursday's program, just because you give people information doesn't mean that they're going to agree with you. Why? Well, this again, connection. What kind of connection do they have to that word? I'm holding up Jay Allen's book here to the camera. So, I'm going to advocate. Maybe it's a campaign so one of our listeners or viewers could talk about and advocate. Why don't we change the word from Worker Memorial Day over to Veterans Day? Maybe we'll make that suggestion to the administration, because we do know that the Trump administration does listen to this program. We have absolute proof of that here, and we'll leave it at that. Members of the administration do listen to this show. Anyway, might be a good thing, cause to take out. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Renaming it. All right, where are we? 24 minutes after the hour. Let's go to some news. Bear with me a second here. And don't tell me I lost everything here. All right, here we go. A lot of stuff going on out there. So this is from big news from the Health and Human Services yesterday. Let's do a share screen on here. So as we all know, I read a lot of government websites, and I use their info. Why do I use their info? Because it's not copyrighted. Thimerosal is an thimerosal containing vaccines and neurological development concerns. Review of the evidence. Thimerosal is an ethyl mercury containing compound. Very small amounts can kill you, right? Ethyl mercury containing compound that was used for decades. United States is preserved in multi-dose vials of vaccines and other products to prevent growth of harmful microbes such as bacteria and fungi. Under the FDA Modernization Act of 1997, the FDA conducted a comprehensive review of the use of thimerosal in childhood vaccines. This review found no evidence of harm from the use of thimerosal as a vaccine preservative other than local hypersensitivity reactions. In 1999, with input from the Public Health Service and other partners, FDA requested all vaccine manufacturers for plans, right, to remove thimerosal from vaccines. This was taken as a precautionary step, not due to evidence of harm, to reduce an infant's overall exposure to mercury, given that other environmental sources of mercury were challenging to eliminate. Since 2001, all childhood vaccines licensed and recommended in the United States have been thimerosal-free, with the exception of some multi-dose formulations of influenza vaccines. Several vaccines used in the United States, MMR, varicella, inactivated polio, pneumococcal conjugate, have never contained thimerosal. During the 2024 to 25 season, 94% of all influenza vaccines in the United States were thimerosal-free. 98% of federal vaccines procured through the Vaccines for Children or 317 program were thimerosal-free. A recent analysis from CDC's Vaccine Safety Data Link show that the proportion of pregnant women receiving a thimerosal-containing flu vaccine has decreased over time, with only 0.3% of doses administered in 2024 containing thimerosal. I'm just going to read right through here. Right, over the past 25 years, multiple well-designated studies, and they listed on their website here, using various epidemiologically various epidemiological study designs have been conducted in several countries evaluating a potential association between thimerosal exposure and autism spectrum disorder, other neurological development disorders, and cognitive functioning. Data from CDC's Vaccine Safety Data Link show that there was no increase of any illnesses from prenatal or early life exposure to thimerosal or from increasing number of antigens from vaccines up to 7, 12, and 24 months. Similarly, in a nationwide cohort study of all children born in Denmark from 1990 to 1996, about 467,000 plus, risk of autism and other autistic spectrum disorders did not differ between the children vaccinated with thimerosal-containing vaccines and those with thimerosal-free vaccines. Some studies that evaluated performance over 24 different tests of neurodevelopment did show a few significant associations between cumulative thimerosal exposure and on some tests of specific neurodevelopmental functions. However, these were few and not seen consistently across similar tests across studies. In other words, they could not be validated. That's me saying that. Furthermore, the Institute of Medicine, known as the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine, examined evidence evaluating the possible association between thimerosal-containing vaccines and autism in 2024, concluding that studies consistently provided evidence of no association between thimerosal-containing vaccines and autism. They have a link there to a National Academies Press document, Immunization Safety Review, Vaccines and Autism. Several non-CDC studies evaluating data from the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System and VSD identified an increased risk of autism and neurological developmental disorders with thimerosal, containing the vaccines. These studies have significant methodological limitations, including unmeasured confounding, inaccurate assessment of exposures, and the list goes on, including biases. So they don't consider it valid or reliable, the CDC, any of these other studies. Considering the breadth of evidence and consistency in results from multiple population-based studies conducted in several countries with various study designs, the evidence does not support an association between thimerosal-containing vaccines and autism spectrum disorder or other neurodevelopmental disorders. So, when the current Health and Human Services Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy, was appointed, they said, well, we're going to get to the bottom of this. I don't know. Was this getting to the bottom of it? Don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We will see, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on. This is from the Department of Labor. Again, I just read them. I read them, you know. U.S. Department of Labor issues new guidance to provide clarity for farmers on H-2A worker regulations. This is from last week. U.S. Department of Labor's Wage and Hour Wage and Hour Division today announced it is suspending enforcement of the Biden administration's burdensome 2024 farm worker rule. The decision provides much-needed clarity for American farmers navigating the H-2A program while also aligning with President Trump's ongoing commitment to strictly enforcing U.S. immigration laws. As multiple federal court injunctions have created significant legal uncertainty, inconsistency, and operational challenges for farmers lawfully employing H-2A workers, this field assistance bulletin clarifies that the department will not be enforcing the 2024 final rule effective immediately, providing critical predictability for agriculture employers as litigation continues and as the department considers further regulatory action. This is from the 20th. Secretary Shabbat Zarimer marks 100 days championing American workers. U.S. Secretary of Labor Lori Chavez DeRemer today celebrated 100 days since she was sworn in as the 30th Labor Secretary, marking a key milestone in her efforts to advance President Trump's America First agenda by quickly delivering on her mission to empower U.S. workers and employers. Hold on. From day one, I promised to put American workers first and deliver on President Trump's commitment to revitalize our workforce, said Secretary Shabazz Zarimer. Since then, we've jump-started a new golden age for American workers by creating hundreds of thousands of jobs, cutting burdensome regulations, saving taxpayer dollars, and investing in the skills and training that power our economy. I remain committed to building a strong, resilient labor force where workers and businesses can continue to grow and succeed. And so what do we have? The expansion, the department has begun a full review of federal workplace programs to expand pathways beyond 4-year degrees, reach 1 million new active apprentices nationwide, and increase transparency and accountability in workforce development programs by collecting relevant data. Under Secretary Chavez DeRemer's leadership, the Department of Labor has returned over $4.4 billion in unspent and unusable COVID-era funding to American taxpayers. In April, Secretary Chavez DeRemer issued a warning to governors that states extending unemployment benefits to illegal immigrants would result in the loss of federal funding, move to reinforce the department's commitment to uphold immigration law and prioritize benefits for American workers. Okay, hold on. Hold on 1 second there. Hold on, I got to shut everything off here. Hang on.
All right.
Hold on. Sorry about that, everybody. Had an emergency call there. So we needed a question asked. Anyway, let me get this off here. So that's basically it on that one. So it was 100 days here. And one of the things that I found, if I was going to change things, would be make the website a little bit more easy to use. They've done that, the OSHA website. So the opinion letter program, meaning the letters of interpretation, they have it all on one website now. Probably a really good idea on that. Okay, what else do we have going on here? So we have this here heat dome all over basically the east. If we get up the weather.gov here. Let's do a share screen on this. This was created just pretty current right now. So if you look in the purple areas here, which are mostly in the Northeast, going up the East Coast from South Carolina border up to Maine here, and up the Hudson River in New York, and the spotty areas everywhere else. It's hotter than hell out there. So years ago, we did not have access to weather reports. That's great. Now it's like 2 weeks out. So I made a decision on all the projects that I manage that we were going to go and prepare for all this beginning of last week. And yeah, we did a pretty good job at getting prepared there. And now there's a lot of controversy here. We're getting reports from, here you go. Fresno, unacceptable. Fresno officials push OSHA for heat safety rule despite uncertainty under Trump. Fresno labor leaders. I mean, isn't Fresno in California? Don't they have a state OSHA? I don't, I don't know. Complain to Cal OSHA, number one. Number two, why do we need a law for this? Really, I mean, they're using the general duty clause, and that, of course, has its limitations. But you really think that the way that was proposed and written, companies would actually comply with that? Absolutely not. They're having problems complying with what we have now. So what is the official OSHA policy? Water, rest, shade. Doing an assessment. Again, you have a right to a safe and healthful workplace. You have a right to free of recognized hazards. Is heat a recognized hazard? Yes. Well, then you got to do an assessment and everything else. The advantage, I would say, of having it as a regular regulation is that they don't have to jump through the hoops here. OSHA makes things a little bit easier to enforce. But the thing is, again, why aren't your workers with that? And are the companies okay with getting feedback on this stuff? That's the other thing. One of the reasons why you have OSHA is that companies often are not going to accept feedback. It doesn't fit the narrative, as Jay Allen's book talks about. Doesn't fit the narrative. So everybody shuts up. I've been on sites already where all the workers had to supply their own water. I've worked on jobs before I was in the safety industry. You had to supply your own water, and it's like 110 degrees out. Back on OSHA's heat safety rule. Business groups argue that requiring companies to offer, this is from Inc.com, mandatory breaks every 2 hours when it's 90 degrees or hotter would be a burden to small businesses. As millions around the country swelter through this is an article by Melissa Angel. The safety are among the critics of proposed rules, right? U.S. Chamber of Commerce, Small Business Administration are among the critics of the proposed rule, arguing that the measure introduced by OSHA last year is burdensome to entrepreneurs because it's a one-size-fits approach. The arguments arrived this past week as OSHA enters the second week of its 2-week public hearing, which is going on now, to determine the standard for federal heat protections or if there should be any such rule. After all, the Trump administration does not have to implement the Biden-era rule, which faced criticism from many Republican lawmakers. The proposed rule will require employers to offer paid breaks as needed once the mercury hits 80 degrees Fahrenheit. The temperature exceeds 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Employers must offer a 15-minute paid break to workers every 2 hours. The rule will also require companies to offer breaks in either air-conditioned settings or when outdoors in shaded areas, directing companies to create structures that offer shade. When we covered this last year, this is what OSHA was. They had like a contest for photos. And this is what OSHA was promoting. Was companies going out and getting shade and water, work, rest, shade. I mean, do we need I don't know. It's a debate. Maybe we do need a regulation. Maybe we don't. But business groups argue that the proposed rule fails to accommodate for industry needs, individual workers' heat tolerance, as well as regional and geographic temperature variations. Well, let's talk about that. Let's say that you're on certain medication, like certain high blood pressure medications, or or if you're diabetic, or on certain diabetes medications. You have an intolerance to heat. So are these business groups arguing that we're not going to hire diabetics or people with hypertension? Because, well, they have an intolerance to heat. And guess what? We're not going to give them water breaks, heat rest breaks. Are they going to be advocating for that? Because now it muddies the water, because now those are protected classes in most states. Consider airline baggage handlers the impact 15-minute breaks would have on moving passenger luggage in terminals, or loading bags onto connecting flights, or loading cargo onto planes with tight schedules. Furthermore, and this is from Mark Friedman, Vice President of Workplace Policy, U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Furthermore, employees who are not experiencing symptoms may want to continue with their work to complete their tasks rather than stop for an arbitrary required break. Man, you must have wonderful employees there, willing to put it all on the line. Right? The Small Business Administration says the heat trigger thresholds for breaks are too low, arguing that some companies are located in parts of the country that see temperatures above 80 degrees for weeks on end. Rather than basing the rules solely on outdoor temperatures, the SBA suggests OSHA should create a new standard that factors in employee health. What did I just say, right? Oh, interesting to see. Here's another one from Fox 28, my Fox 28 from Columbus, Ohio. The federal government is considering implementing new regulations. Hearings on the proposed heat-related rules are currently underway. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 500 workers died from excessive heat between 2011 and 2022, averaging 40 fatalities per year. We covered some of them on this program over the years. New changes to Chicago Fire Department's tactical guidelines are set to take place from yesterday. Effect this week have left the president of the Chicago Firefighters Union members, and city elders concerning the safety of Chicagoans. There's going to be a lot of buildings burning down and potential deaths, said Patrick Cleary, president of Firefighters Union Local 2. That's what's going to happen. The specific issue Cleary is fired up. That involves new technical guidelines affecting the first fire engine to respond on the scene. This is from WGN TV. On the scene for a fire. According to the new policy, the officer on smaller four-man rigs responding to fires must become the incident commander with the two other firefighters to perform specific duties. In that scenario, barring additional units arriving on the scene at the same time, that would leave one firefighter available for building entry. A high-risk situation that the CFD will likely not put a single firefighter in. If you have an engineer working the pump, you have one guy running the hydrant, the hookup close to the hydrant, you have one person left, and we cannot send one person by themselves inside a building. Right? Chicago Fire Department has 160 fire rigs at its disposal, with 35 of them being manned with only 4 firefighters. The other 125 have 5-man crews. This means that 22% of Chicago's fire department crews will be forced to wait until a battalion chief arrives or another engine or truck sets up shop before they can make entry into a burning building. Goes on again. Who's making the rules? Are they the actual firefighters or someone else? One of the comments I got today on the heat is that people who make up rules have never done the work. Oh, what does that sound like? Maybe they never, right? Human organizational performance team, have a learning team. And it makes you laugh. I don't want to say laugh, but it's like people come, it happens all the time. I see it. I wrote a procedure for this and you didn't follow it. Well, procedure doesn't work because you never did the work. This isn't the way work is done. Why didn't you come out and get everybody's input on this? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. EPA. US EPA. Let's get the share screen up here. We got about 10 minutes left. EPA reaches settlement with Ecolab for alleged hazardous waste violations in Joliet, Illinois. Today, the U.S. EPA announced the settlement with Ecolab Incorporated for alleged RCRA violations at the company's facility at blah, 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 blah. Ecolab has addressed the alleged violations and will pay a $423,000 plus fine and 60 cents. The first pillar of EPA is powering the Great American Comeback Initiative to clean air, land, and water for every American, said EPA Region 5 Administrator Ann Vogel, the bird, Vogel, right? I'm only saying that, right? Vogel in German is bird, right? EPA is devoted to protecting communities like Joliet from the threats posed by the improper, unregulated hazardous waste storage. Ecolab sells programs, products, and equipment and services to help clean and treat wastewater. The company has failed to comply with certain RCRA regulations during its business operations, including the failure to obtain a permit or interim status for hazardous waste storage, comply with hazardous waste storage tank requirements, comply with container management requirements, comply with contingency plan requirements, maintain documentation. Ecolab has certified its return to compliance with RCRA regulations, and everything is all nice there. This is from last week. Years of action to protect and restore Long Island Sound with new conservation management plan. EPA, states of New York and Connecticut, and many partners signed a resolution to unveil Long Island Sound's partnership refreshed name and logo. So I guess this would go into the whole thing what Jay Allen was saying. And this is a valid question. Are we just rebranding things and making things sound better? I don't know. Because that's what happens. That's what was mentioned in this book, right? Signal transmission. Today in Rye, New York, again, you read the book, it changes the way you think. Today in Rye, New York, senior officials of the U.S. EPA, blah, 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 met to celebrate 40 years of progress in restoring and protecting Long Island Sound and announce a new plan that sets a 10-year roadmap to revitalize the Sound as an ecological, economical, and recreational resource. Let's see if this is going to work. We got a video here.
I'm honored to help you.
Let's start that over again.
Hi, this is EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. Congratulations on this momentous day for the Long Island Sound. I'm honored to help you all mark the 40th anniversary of extraordinary efforts to restore and protect the Long Island Sound. Countless residents on Long Island and in New England take great pride in conserving this body of water, and we are proudly continuing our commitment to this cause. We will be signing a comprehensive conservation and management plan today that will power the work of the EPA and our regional partners through the next decade. Having grown up on Long Island, and later a co-chair of the Long Island Sound Caucus in Congress, I know firsthand how important the Sound is to residents. Bipartisan efforts have ensured the Long Island Sound program has had the adequate funding needed to fulfill its mission. We work hard to keep the water clean while the Sound generates just under $10 billion per year in economic activity. Our regional administrators for EPA Regions 1 and 2, Mark Sanborn and Mike Martucci, are representing the agency today, exemplifying the geographic partnership and commitment we have for protecting the Sound. 40 years of dedication, hard work, and passion have now defended this critical waterway. We look forward to doing our part at EPA to advance this cause for decades to come.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Administrator Zeldin. So this is out of Rye, New York. Rye, New York, right by my house. Probably by Rye Playland over there. And I think we covered most of this last week. With that, what else? So the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers launches a nationwide recreation operational status website. This is from 5/22/2025, but I just came across it. So, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has launched recreation operational status website to keep the public informed about the operational status of USACE, or U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, that is, recreation areas nationwide. The public can visit the website and click on any state for current overall status of a recreation area and the status of campgrounds, boat ramps, and beaches owned and operated by USACE within the area. Let's see what this is. Operational status. So I had no idea that they had recreational areas that they were in charge of. Yeah, probably because, look, there's none in New Jersey. And in New York, there's none, except for like up in upstate New York. So let's see what they are here. Here you have the Swift Water Court Access Area. Right, and that's managed by the Army Corps of Engineers. Not too many here. Northeast. Let's see. Have I ever heard of these places? Sussex Beach Reservation Area. Zoom in. The Cape Cod Canal. Oh, looks pretty interesting here. And so you click on these, and if there is a recreational area, and this is corelapes.erdc.dren.mil. Right, and they talk all about this stuff here. So that's what we got. So what we're going to do is we're going to close out the show, and we will come back with you. We're a little bit early. I'll be playing some other stuff, some phone. In case a phone call came in, and I have to handle some stuff. For Safety Wars is Jim Posel, and we hope to be back here tomorrow. We'll probably go into some politics, and we'll have a warning for you tomorrow because there's a lot of stuff going on politically that we probably should talk about.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.